mind of a man confined works differently than someone on the outside. He sees things in a different way. A successful breakout.
What happens when Sylvester Stallone and Arnold Schwarzenegger go to prison together? Really, really, really bad movie. Okay, it's not that terrible, but I'm talking about Escape Plan, people. You are listening to Movie Thing Podcast with a review from Brandon. I understand the podcast hasn't been up in a while, but doesn't mean I'm done watching movies. And, you know, being that I have enough stuff on my plate of writing-wise, I've been kind of doing more of these audio reviews for maybe people who like to read the written stuff. The audio stuff is just a quicker way for me to get these out. So let's continue on. So, Escape Plan. Basic premise. It's really basic premise. So Arnold Schwarzenegger, who is Ray Bristlin, he's basically he works for a security company, which they, from according to them, they get Sylvester Stallone thrown into a prison, and then he breaks out of it, and then they're like, hey, you want to know how he broke out of it? He did way more thinking than any of your prisoners ever would. They show in the beginning him breaking out of a prison, and I'm just like, okay, that's even more convoluted than fucking Prison Break is. You know, when you watch Prison Break, you're like, wow, that took a lot of planning to break out of this prison. Honestly, to my knowledge, most prison breaks are just kind of like, oh, that guard's not paying attention, I'm running for it! You know? It's not like, oh, well, I gotta have this guy from the outside start an explosion so I can, So basically, then eventually they take a contract from a high-end, not government-funded, privately funded, prison. And they're like, well, we do everything off the grid. And they just pick up Stallone, and he's like, Stallone's like, oh, okay, I'll do it. And it turns out, oh, wait, it wasn't what you thought it would be. Turns out that it's supposed to, you're stuck here for life because because they wanted to prove that the prison was unbreakable, so they just said, oh, you're screwed here, you're staying, haha. And that's where he meets up with his old friend Schwarzenegger, who is Rottmeier. 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 And he's just, I want to break out of here, you got to help me! And that's kind of his entire premise. He's, I have to say this is probably the thinnest I've seen Schwarzenegger in a while, because normally he was getting that old man kind of, where he doesn't have like a six-pack anymore, but it's just a big gut, but it looks hard as a rock, like if you punched it, it's like a boulder underneath his shirt. So, he still kind of has that going on. And you got, then you have the main antagonist, who is the warden, who is Hobbs. This guy is just, you're over around, your cookie-cutter, generic, evil white man who's just like, oh, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die. That's the kind of character he is. And then, of course, you have to, every, smart villain needs to have his strong villain, who is, Vinnie Jones, who plays Drake, one of the security guards, who is just, crazy dude, essentially. But yeah, this movie, okay, so it's your generic, we gotta escape from prison by doing all these things, but they don't have what every escape movie has, and that's the close calls. You know what makes a really good escape, like a Prison Break movie, and that's actually what the first season of Prison Break did. It had so many close calls that you're on the edge of your seat, you're just like, oh, I wonder how he's gonna make out of this. Is he gonna be in trouble or something? Not once did I feel that in this movie. The entire time I'm watching this movie, I'm like, I know Schwarzenegger, I know Stallone, they're gonna get out of this okay. I don't really care. And it's not like, I have to say, I'll give them this. When they break out, oh, it's a fucking bloodbath. But, besides that, it's just kind of this, like the entire movie until the ending is just so boring because it has no suspense to it. The action's not, not that interesting. The whole movie is just kind of this bland, just bleh. I just did not give a crap. Oh, yeah. Yeah, and then they try, and then also the villains really aren't that menacing. They're just like, oh, well, look how evil we are. And they give me someone who's truly a piece of shit. I mean, not just some guy who's like, I want to make money. I don't want money Skeletor. I want a dude who's just gonna fucking, he's like, oh yeah, I'm gonna start butchering, children and raping women. I don't want to see the butchering. I'm just saying, if you're gonna have these overpowered, guys that take out these villains, like Schwarzenegger and Stallone, I want a villain that is so horrible that they have no choice, but they have to, and they get to have a huge confrontation with him. Everything is just bland in this movie. The director is, Mikael Hastrom. Yet again, foreign guy, really hard to pronounce his name. He's directed, oh shit. 1408, and I think that's, if I'm correct, that is the movie with, that's that horror film with, Samuel L. Jackson, who's the creepy dude who's just sitting there like, oh, don't go in room 1408, and then you got, what's his face? Yeah, he directed that movie. That was that was back in 2007. He hasn't really done much. He has other smaller movies that not a lot of people may recognize. Yeah, so he directed this. I say he did a lot better with that horror film. Maybe he should stick with horror genre, because this just, they had 3 people write the screenplay, so I'm gonna talk about the first credit, Miles Chapman. Miles Chapman, who is, wow, okay, alright, so he wrote the Roadhouse 2, which, as many of you can recall how great that was, and 2 episodes of Cybergeddon. Yeah. Maybe it was more the writer's fault as well. I mean, you have 3 writers on this. You have 2 old huge action stars, and you think you can do it right. Stallone is his kind of typical, what he's been kind of playing for a while. He's your serious guy who kind of makes, tough man jokes here and there. He has a sad backstory. And, yeah, he's your main character. He's the main protagonist. He's kind of, I'll admit, he does some kick-ass shit, which makes me laugh. I'll give him that. He is kind of a badass a little bit in this movie. He does more than Schwarzenegger. Schwarzenegger really doesn't do a whole hell of a lot. Schwarzenegger is more supposed to be the kind of loose cannon type of guy. And I will admit, I didn't even see the little twist they had coming with his character either. But he doesn't really do a whole hell of a lot. A lot of the time he's just kind of like, okay, I stand here, and you all go do it, whatever you need to do. And that's kind of his whole thing. Jim Caviezel, you remember him from, Jesus, Passion of the Christ. He's the main villain. It's amazing the 180 this guy does. He's Hobbs. Like I said, he's your generic, Bond villain where he doesn't really do a whole hell of a lot. He tries to be menacing, but honestly, it doesn't really pay off. And then, of course, you got Vinnie Jones playing the, like I said, the security guard. That guy, he's Vinnie Jones, essentially. That he doesn't do anything that is not already in his, what he's typecasted as. The really funny ass thing is, I saw 50 Cent in this movie, and the best part is, they try to make him a computer nerd. I hate to say, I'm not just saying 50 Cent's stupid, but you cannot go from a retarded rapper to computer genius. 50 Cent himself, or Curtis Jackson, as I like to call him by his real name, Curtis, he may be a real smart guy who just capitalized on the whole rap thing. But once you go from a rap star and then try to go to I'm gonna be doing this, I'm the computer, no, I'm sorry, it broke my immersion immediately. I'm just like, okay dude, no you're not, just stop. So, this movie is just kind of, it's really hard to actually, like I said, the ending was kind of cool and it was a little really far-fetched, but it's a stupid action movie, so I kind of accept it for that. I don't even see this for action movie. If you love action films, because we all do, who doesn't? I don't even see this as a stupid popcorn film. Honestly, this is in Redbox right now, and I want to say, I'd pass it, man. I'm giving this a 2 out of 5. It didn't piss me off, but it wasn't anything worth your time, not worth your money. I mean, you can, if you see it free on Netflix I should put that. If you see it on Netflix, because Netflix isn't free, if you see it on Netflix, and you really want to check it out, I guess check it out, but Honestly, you could just skip it. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong. I'm an Arnold fan and I'm a Stallone fan. I love their older work. I even love Stallone's Rambo from the 2008 film. But, sometimes you guys just, no. Just no. That is it, everybody. If you agree, disagree, I'd love to talk to you about movies. So, you can put your opinion in the comments section on YouTube. I cannot get back to you on there. YouTube is all weird and such, and I'm not conforming to the way they want me to do their user system. But you can also find us on Facebook, the Bloody Screen Podcast, or you can email me at bloodyscreenpodcast@gmail.com, or go to our forums at bloodyscreenpod.com. So if you want to talk to me about film, I say go to one of those 3 outlets. If you just want to voice your opinion, any of the 4 actually will work. So that is everybody. Thank you, and good night.